So there's every reason why this minister should be worried. This is a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He's the Minister for Science and Technology. His name is Minister Nnaji. And the reports that have trickled in from Saturday till today have shown that this minister needs to be worried about what's going on. The reports that is going on about him, okay, relating to certificate forgery. Now, this is the minister, this is the president. There is no allegation against the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There is absolutely no allegation against the president. In this report, the president is only brought here because he's the boss of this minister. Now, this is Premium Times. They have said here, investigation, the serial certificate forger in President Tinubu's cabinet. The university's disclosure confirms Premium Times findings revealing that Minister Nnaji, a member of the president's cabinet, did not graduate from the University of Nigeria and Nsukka. More revelations. This is also Premium Times. Outrage over Tinubu minister's certificate forgery. They have said here, a painstaking 2-year investigation published by Premium Times on Saturday revealed that the minister forged the credentials he submitted to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the Nigerian Senate during his ministerial confirmation in 2023, 2 years ago. Certificate forgery, embattled minister's lawyer fumes in court over Premium Times investigation. You know, a lot of reports have been made from Saturday till now by, I think, almost every newspaper house in Nigeria, almost every media house in Nigeria has published this story. And the story is simple, that the minister forged 2 documents. One, the certificates, the first degree certificates. This is the first degree certificate that the minister submitted. And that he also forged his National Youth Service discharge certificates. Those are the 2 documents that the minister has been accused of forging. Now, let's look at these documents. This document says, by the authority of the Council of the Senate of the University of Nigeria, be it known that Jeffrey Uchechukwu Nnaji is admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Science in Microbiology and Biochemistry with 2nd class honors upper division, right? And with all the rights, privileges, and immunities appertaining thereto in consideration of the satisfactory completion in note, July 1985. I will bring you back to this date, July 1985. Upon completion of the studies and requirements as prescribed by the university, right? And it's here given at Nsukka, which is the seat of the university, Nigeria, this 14th day of December, 1985, right? 85. This is said to be the signature of the vice chancellor at the time. I don't know who he was. This is said to be the signature of the registrar at the time, right? Now, this is the National Youth Service discharge certificate, National Youth Service Corps, Certificate of National Service. This is to certify that Nnaji Jeffrey Uchechukwu has satisfactorily completed 1 year national service from 16th April 1985 to 14th May 1986. National Youth Service is supposed to be for 1 year, right? Now, if you count from 14th April 1985 to 15th May 1986, my calculation would show that would be 13 months. I also served. I did my national service. It should be 1 year. Sometimes people serve 11 months, but it should not exceed 1 year. So what happened? From 16th April 1985 to 15th May 1986 will give you 13 calendar months. If you count with your hand like this, fingers like this, it will give you 13 calendar months. That's one. Let's go back to the certificates that the minister is said to have submitted to the Senate. This certificate says that he completed his studies satisfactorily and was issued with a certificate in July 1985. Can you see? in July 1985, right? You are supposed to complete your studies and have your certificate before you are mobilized for service. So let's see when he was mobilized for service. This certificate says that he did his national service from 16th April 1985 to 15th May 1986. Again, certificate says he graduated in July 1985. So is it possible to mobilize for service in May 1985, whereas you graduated in July 1985? The forensics in the house will assist us with that. Now, here is where the problem has become very serious for Minister Nnaji. This is a letter from the Vice Chancellor of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Very recent letter. The letter was signed by the Vice Chancellor on the 2nd day of October 2025. Very recent, few days ago, right? The letter is sent to Adeyemi Adeshomoju, Deputy Managing Director, Premium Times, 53 Mambolo Street, Zone 2, Woodsay, Abuja. Dear sir, read Freedom of Information request on Jeffrey Uchechukwu Nnaji degree certificate. We refer to your letter dated 29th September 2025 in respect of the above subject matter. 1. We can confirm that Mr. Jeffrey Uchechukwu Nnaji, with matriculation number 1981/30725, was admitted by the University of Nigeria, Nsukka in 1981. 2. From every available record and information from University of Nigeria, Nsukka, we are unable to confirm that Mr. Jeffrey Uchechukwu Nnaji, the current Minister of Science and Technology, graduated from University of Nigeria, Nsukka in July 1985. Remember, again, the minister's certificate says that he graduated in July 1985. So the Vice Chancellor is saying we are unable to confirm that he graduated in July 1985, as there are no records of his completion of study in the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. In 1, the Vice Chancellor admitted that he was indeed given admission into the university in 1981, but he's saying that there are no records of his completion of study in the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Every student has a file. 3, flowing from the above, the University of Nigeria, Nsukka did not, note again, did not, and consequently could not have issued the purported certificates or at all in July 1985 to Mr. Jeffrey Uchechukwu Nnaji, the current Minister of Science and Technology. This conclusion is also in consonance with a previous letter which is hereby attached according to the Vice Chancellor. If you have any further question, please do not hesitate to contact us. Yours sincerely, Professor Simon Otwanya. Okay, now I've seen this added to his name, SJD. Now, SJD is doctorate in law that is obtained from a university in the United States of America. So this man is a lawyer, a professor of law. Okay, so he understands exactly what he's doing. He understands the weight of his letter. He understands that if his letter is false, that there is a serious issue against him. And he also understands what it will mean against his person if he tells a lie. So the Vice Chancellor's letter dated 2nd October 2025 has disowned the minister. Now, let's look at the law. Let's just look at the law around all of this. What does it say? Assuming this allegation is true. Now, when allegation of certificate forgery is made against you, your saving grace is the issuing authority. If the issuing authority says that they issued the certificate to you, case closed, you don't have a case. That's the end of the matter. But if the issuing authority says that they did not issue that certificate to you, then you have a very serious case. How did you get the certificates? How did you get the certificates? If they say they never issued any such certificate, now your case becomes complicated Very seriously complicated. In fact, you are in trouble. In this case, it is the #1 officer of the university, the vice chancellor, who is said to be in custody of records of the university, that has disowned the minister. In the eyes of the law, the minister is in trouble. He's in serious trouble. It is not any other person that is disowning him. It is the vice chancellor of the university who writes and acts for the university. He says, based on records available, because every student has a file. Once you enter, you have a file. Whether you have graduated or not, your file is still there. The man says that there is no record to show that the certificates that the minister presented were issued by the university. That puts the minister in a serious trouble. NYSC has also disowned him by saying that the discharge certificate was not issued by them. So, what now presents itself clearly against the minister in the eyes of the law is a case of certificate forgery. Not one certificate, but 2 certificates. Serious trouble. Double wahala, as the musicians would call it. What will happen to him at this point? That's the question. That's the basic question, okay, to ask now. What will happen to him at this point with all these revelations? University says, we don't know this certificate. NYSC says, this is not our own. 2 certificates in trouble against 1 man. Now, the prosecution in a court of law, the prosecution is expected to move to the court of law against Minister Nnaji. Is expected to be moved into the court of law. So let's look at the law on this. Forgery is both a state and a federal crime in Nigeria. Every state of the federation has a provision in their own law against forgery. The federal government also has provisions against forgery, which is applicable to everybody and anybody in any part of the Federation of Nigeria. Okay, so like I said, that the federal government has their own law against forgery. If the decision of the prosecution is to use the state law in prosecuting Minister Nnaji, right, after the investigation, after they have gotten further evidence and confirmation, and then they want to take him to court, if they decide to take him under the state law, then the appropriate venue for the trial of the minister is the state high court, right? If they decide to charge him under a federal law, okay, then the prosecution will take place in the Federal High Court. It could be the Federal High Court Abuja, it could be the Federal High Court Enugu, it could be the Federal High Court Lagos, or any state of the Federation that has a Federal High Court, because the jurisdiction of the Federal High Court is federal. It covers the entire territory of Nigeria. If he's charged under the Criminal Code Act, Section 465 of that law defines forgery as making a false document or writing, knowing it to be false and with intent that it may in any way be used or acted upon as genuine. Okay, so the minister's case qualifies for this. The certificates were submitted by him to the villa. It started from there. Then he made sufficient copies, submitted to the clerk of the National Assembly, who distributed them to the senators. Okay? He submitted those things with intent for the Senate to believe that he is a graduate of the University of Nigeria and Nsukka, and that he has also gone for national service, and that he is duly qualified to be appointed as a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The intention is there, the act is there. In law, they call it the actus reus and the mens rea. These 2 elements are complete in the action of the minister, right? If the minister is found guilty under this law, okay, the Criminal Code Act, laws of the Federation of Nigeria, by Section 467, he is to serve a prison term of 3 years if he's found guilty. Remember, he's still presumed innocent at this point. So says the law, right? If he's found guilty, he goes in for 3 years. But there is a law that provides higher penalty, higher punishment, okay? That is, the Miscellaneous Offences Act is also an act of the National Assembly which can be applied in this circumstance. The punishment here is bigger. That provision says, any person who makes or alters any forged document knowing it to be false or with intent that it may in any way be used or acted upon as genuine by another in the belief that it is genuine shall be guilty of an offense and shall be liable on conviction to 21 years without an option of fine. 21 years without an option of fine. So that is why I said at the beginning that the minister has every reason to worry. It's not a light situation. It's a very serious issue, because if he's convicted, he stands the risk of spending as much as 21 years in jail. Now, some reports have said that, and the reports are from the minister's camp, that the whole scenario, the whole allegation is orchestrated by the governor of Enugu State. I'm sure you have read that. They have said that the whole thing is orchestrated by the governor of Enugu State for political reasons. Remember that the minister was the candidate of the APC in the last election in Enugu State, okay? While the current governor was candidate of the PDP. The governor defeated Nnaji of the APC. So there are reports that this whole thing is orchestrated by the governor of Enugu State against his political opponent. Now, the question is, does it matter in law? Does it matter? The answer is no. It does not matter who is orchestrating it. It doesn't matter. Wherever the orchestration is from, village, autonomous community, wherever, states, federal, outside the country, wherever, it doesn't matter, right? To the law who is orchestrating it. What the law wants to know is whether the two certificates were forged or not. Whether the University of Nigeria and Nsukka issued the degree certificate, and whether the NYSC issued the discharge certificate. That's a concern of the law. It doesn't matter any other thing that is being woven around the story. If the answer to both is no, then the minister goes in for it. If the answer to whether the university issued and whether the NYSC issued the certificate is no, the minister goes in for it. He would be expected to name the names of such persons that assisted him in the procurement of the forged certificates. And in law, all such persons are accessories to the crime and can also be arrested and prosecuted along with Nnaji and sent to jail for the offense. Finally, this is a serious one for the minister, and it is not a time to remain silent. It is often said that silence is golden. People are admonished to keep quiet in some instances, but this is one instance where silence is not going to be golden. It's a serious issue, right? The minister needs to speak up. The allegation is, Ekemini, you do not have a certificate. You are not a lawyer. Okay? They have gone to my university where I graduated to say, give me, authenticate this certificate for me. And my university says Ekemini is not a lawyer. He attended this university, but he never graduated. That's a serious matter. It's not something I should take lightly. I should go out for it and ensure that I prove that I got the certificate. I have my certificate. Okay? Now, we have seen some aides of the minister, like yesterday, they held a press conference, they were trying to explain and so on. This goes beyond what the aides should do. It calls for the minister himself to step in and then present the documents and stand by them. He should debunk the allegation by Premium Times by himself, not through anybody, because it's a serious allegation. If it is true, as reported by Premium Times, that the minister filed an affidavit, signed it, and it was filed in court, and he denied being issued any certificates by the University of Nigeria and Nsukka, then his case becomes more serious. That means he has admitted it. When you make an admission against yourself, is a very strong admission in law, right? How did he get the certificates? That would then be the question if he has admitted that he wasn't issued any certificates. According to Premium Times, if you read the report of Premium Times, you see where Premium Times says that he has admitted it in an affidavit that has been filed in court, and they have quoted the date of the affidavit and the paragraph of the affidavit. If truly the minister has admitted it, then that complicates his matter, because the question will be, how did he get the certificates that he submitted to the villa? How did he get the certificate that he submitted to the Senate? Right? So, finally, Nigerians at home and abroad, they want to see justice in this matter as quickly as possible. This is not one of those matters that should be swept under the carpet. There must be justice for Nnaji himself. If he's not guilty, let it be clearly said and let it be clearly shown to Nigerian citizens. There should be justice for the state. If Nnaji is guilty, Nnaji needs to go in for it the same way that ordinary people are usually tried and convicted in this country. Nnaji needs to go in for it because there's equality before the law. There is also need for justice for the Nigerian people. Nnaji is occupying an office that is funded by taxpayers' money, and therefore Nigerian people are interested at home and abroad as to the outcome of this allegation. And I hope that the Federal Attorney General will not just keep quiet over this. The Federal Attorney General will give direction in line with the provisions of the law and in line with the dictates of justice. We hope that as quickly as possible, this matter will be made clear, should be settled for Nigerian citizens to see clearly through the court of law of competent jurisdiction. Many thanks always for watching.